Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Fearless Floyd Show. As always, it's me, and thank God it's Friday for some people, and then again, some people, damn, Friday's already here again. I know it seems like time is flying faster than you can shake a stick at it, right? It's insane. I don't know what's going on. Every time I turn around, it's Friday again. It's Friday. It's Friday. Remember how we used to just couldn't wait till Friday when we were growing up? Now we're like, damn, it's already here again. Well, it has been an eventful day for me. Uh, I've been having technical difficulties and just it cascades. So I've been dealing with StreamYard and Rumble. Neither one of them you can talk to anybody on the phone. It's all by email or text or chat, or it's a dead end. So my morning dealt with 3 hours of that nonsense back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and pretty much stressed me out to the point I was actually nauseous. It stressed me out so bad, so I had just lay everything down and just go chill. So I ate a one of my prescription gummies, so I'm a little de-stressed, and I don't like to take them all the time because I don't like the way they make me feel. But I don't know how you guys feel about this, but I know how I feel about it because I have to deal with it on a daily basis. And that is the fact dealing with these nameless, faceless corporations, companies that only allow you to. Hello.
Hello, is Floyd there?
This him?
Floyd, this is Neil Matthews. I'm a travel host here in Las Vegas, Nevada. How are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm right in the middle of a live show.
Oh, gosh, sorry, buddy. Do you think you might be considering visiting us here in the next 2 years?
Possibly. Give me a call back.
I
Thanks.
will. Yes, sir.
All right. Where was I at? Oh, yeah. I was turning that off. Um, that the only way you can get customer service is through a chat or emailing back and forth. And I find that inadequate and downright un-American. The kids may like all that bullshit, but when you want something fixed, you should be able to just, because this is what you're paying for. You should be able to pick up a phone, say, hey, look, I got a problem. Can you walk me through this? And boom, 5, 10 minutes later, your shit's solved. Here we going on, a week later, and I'm still having issues somewhere down the line, all because of one thing. And that's the reason I left Zoom and went to StreamYard because of Zoom's customer service was so shitty. Now I get over here to StreamYard, and StreamYard is just as shitty. And the reason I went to StreamYard is because when I went to subscribe for it, man, those fuckers called me back like that. I had somebody on the phone. Then when it comes to customer service, not so much. Actually, not at all. So I try to shed myself of companies that want to utilize that. It's like Lyft. Lyft used to use illegal immigrants to drive as drivers. I don't know if they do anymore, but I know they did in the past. And when I was, I had no transportation, couldn't move around because of my car accident. I was taking Lyfts and Ubers everywhere. And when your damn driver can't speak English, can't read English, and has no way to communicate with you, and they're at the wrong address, and you can't tell them because they don't speak English, you can't do a third party communication. So they charged me one time for that. I was like, oh, well, guess what? No, 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 no. You'll never do that again. So I never used Lyft. Lyft is, I just quit using them. I used Uber from then on. And I'm that way for all these companies. I cannot stand these big companies who want to hide and, their CEOs don't answer you, blah, 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 blah. So it's us to make that change. And only we can do it. So I'm boycotting those companies. You can do whatever you want to do. I do. Remember, I told you guys, man, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, right? That's not the right one. Here we go. Some of you know that once upon a time, I used to litigate in the courts. Once upon a time. And this little gem, back that shit up. This was filed July 25th, 2006 in the U.S. District Court, Southern District of Texas, Houston Division. And as you see, Floyd P. Tarvin the fourth. And this is my informal papyrus application. And, oh, by the way, all that's typed. Okay. I typed all that shit. And this is a 31-page complaint, as you see, with the informal papyrus. And I told you folks, man, I did not play when I was in prison. Here's the Texas Board of Criminal Justice. I sued the whole fucking board. The executive director, the regional director, another director, region 1 director, my senior warden. Now comes plaintiff Floyd P. Tarvin IV, TDCJ number 011236559, pro se prisoner in custody and control of the Texas Department of Criminal Justice Correctional Institution Division, Texas CID, at the John M. Wynn Unit in Huntsville, Texas, Walker County, and brings his first complaint under Title 42, United States Code, Section 1983, pursuant to Rule 15, Federal Rules of Civil Procedure, on his own behalf and on behalf of all those similarly situated Wynn Unit offenders seeking preliminary and permanent injunction to declaratory relief and where pleaded monetary damages for his causes of action against defendants, averse the following. Introduction to the complaint. This complaint is brought by the plaintiff on his own behalf and on behalf of those similarly situated Wynn Unit offenders seeking preliminary coming under Title 42, 1983, and 2000 CC-1A for violation of his guaranteed rights under the 1st, 5th, 8th, 9th, 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution, Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act of 2000, Section 3A, 13, 19, 27. Oh, that's Texas Constitution. Customary international law, and under Article 1, Section 6, 8, 13, 19, 27, and 29 to the Texas Constitution. As soon as I saw those, I knew that was the Texas Constitution. Number 2, plaintiff alleges the defendants knowingly subjecting him and other Wynn Unit prisoners similarly situated to barbaric, degrading, and inhumane conditions, which wantonly inflict unnecessary pain and suffering that constitutes cruel and unusual punishment, violation of the 1st, 5th, 8th, 9th, 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution. We already went through all that. But basically what we're getting down to, they affected my rights by enacting and enforcing highly restrictive telephone policy that is facially and as applied is unconstitutionally overbroad, vague, explicitly and implicitly usurps, curtails, and disregards his rights to communicate with his family, friends, and loved ones. I didn't have any, but legal counsel and religious counselor, I didn't have too many of those either, or ministers without legitimate penological justification. So anyway, what this case was about, and as you see from the date, 2006, let me explain to you what the hell was going on in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice in 2006. In 2006, okay, the state of Texas, the state of Texas. This doesn't include all the counties in Texas. This doesn't include all the city jails in Texas. It doesn't even include all the states in North America, Canada, Mexico. Texas, out of everything I just mentioned, was the very last entity, okay? The very last entity in North America to install collect telephones in the cell blocks and dormitories of their prison units. Up until around this time, and I'll be specific and give you all that too here in a minute. The only phone call you could get is if you were on good behavior for 6 months, and then you got a 5-minute phone call sitting in an office with another TDCJ officer on the extension listening to your phone call that you're having with your family, friend, or relative. And then you got another one in 6 months if you're good. The last entity in North America, Mexico, Canada, every other state, every other county, every other city. Oh, well. So my old buddy, who you often hear me talk about, Alan Wade Johnson over on the WIN unit, he's the one who originally filed that. So I tried to join his suit. They said, file your own. Okay, I did. Well, folks, that case, get over here to it. This case right here, this was dismissed for failure to state a claim for which relief may be granted under Rule 12b-6 and filed as frivolous and malicious. And this one was adjudicated by Magistrate Judge Kenneth Hoyt, who I believe now is a U.S. District Judge. Okay? But my point being, let's see if I can go back. Yeah. Let's keep going. There you go. There's a layout. Here are all the instruments. So here's the docket sheet. Final judgment. Case terminated. Here. Judge Keith P. Ellison. Memorandum opinion order on dismissal. This lawsuit is dismissed with prejudice as frivolous and for failure to state a claim. Any and all pending motions are denied as moot. The clerk is to provide a copy of this order to TDCJ General Counsel, Clerk Court, East District, Tyler. And you want to know what happened while that case was almost in finalization? The dang state of Texas just, man, I tell you what, we broke them. They just like acquiesce and go, oh my God, these guys filed a lawsuit, so we got to install telephones. Well, yeah, actually, they went in, Texas legislature, passed a bill, and they gave us collect telephones. Even though that corrupt, fraudulent, treasonous, traitorous judge I just showed you, Keith Ellison, I failed to state a claim. Wonder how that worked. Well, have you ever done that before, Floyd? Let's go look. Let's go look. What is this? I'll get to that in a minute. Let me get up here. I was perusing. Here we go. When was this filed? August 18th, 2006 in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Texas, Houston Division. And again, all this is typed out, folks. This was a typewriter, as you can tell. So again, here I come back with another Title 42, United States Code, Section 1983. And this is basically blah, 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 blah. Same thing. Almost the same boilerplate. Yeah, they're treating us like shit. Blah, blah, blah. Plaintiff alleges the defendants knowingly subjected him and other Win Unit prisoners similarly situated to barbaric, degrading, and inhumane conditions which wantonly inflict unnecessary pain and suffering that constitutes cruel and unusual punishment in violation of the 5th, 8th, 9th, and 14th Amendments to the United States Constitution, in violation of customary international law, and also in violation of Article 1, Sections 6, 8, 13, 19, 27, and 29 of the Texas Constitution. Okay, well, Floyd, what are you arguing about here? What's your claim, right? And here you go. Just so you all know, here's my 60-year sentence that I got. Plaintiff has and is serving a long term of confinement, 60 years. Actuating his allegations described herein are totally without penological justification, which has and continues to result in the gratuitous infliction of necessary pain and suffering. That which offends human dignity was not part of the penalty that criminal offenders pay for their offenses against society. Plaintiff reasonably expects retaliation for this complaint and in part reasonably expects to be transferred from the Win Unit in an attempt by defendants to moot injunctive and declaratory relief sought that he would be transferred back or released and reincarcerated here. The constitutional and customary international law violations described herein are easily capable of repetition and probably of future consequences to plaintiff, and those similarly situated Win Unit offenders are great. So here's the body of the defendants, Texas Board of Criminal Justice. There's Brad Livingston, the ED, Doug Dretke, the Division Director, Rick Thaler, Region 1 Director. Here's the another director, Robert Treon, Region 1 Director, my senior warden, Pacifica. And here we go. Plaintiff has exhausted his Step 1 and Step 2 administrative remedies in accordance with Title 42, United States Code, Section 1997E, Prison Litigation Reform Act, fondly known as the PLRA, which I think this was written by Gingrich during the Clinton administration, and oh my God. Why, if you get a disciplinary infraction in the state of Texas, that you got to go to a federal court to get relief? That makes absolutely zero sense, but hey, that's what they do. All right, due to the TDCJ CID, John M. Win Unit Senior Warden stipulation that offenders cannot use a photocopier, the double-sided grievance form, Step 1 and Step 2, are not attached. However, they are available should they be required by the court. What do you mean I don't have access to a copier? The frickin' Attorney General has access to a copier. How is that the fair administration of meaningful access to the courts and due process? Oh, it isn't. Okay. Here's some interested parties, blah, 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 blah. Here we go. Number 17. Okay. Now, not only am I getting down for prisoners, I'm getting down for state employees. Number 17, Texas Department of Criminal Justice Correctional Institutions Division operates the prison system in the state of Texas and is comprised of some 114 prison facilities. It is a paramilitary organization with approximately 44,000 employees. The prison population is approximately 152,000. You heard me correctly. Probably a little less now. Of these, some 114 prison units, which has since been reduced to roughly around 100. Prison units, over 25 of these aging facilities house approximately 40,000 prisoners and range from 38 to over 100 years old. The John M. Win Unit is 122 years old, established and brought online in 1883. Plaintiff is confined at the TDCJ CID John M. Win Unit and is classified as a minimum security prisoner serving a long term of confinement, which his conviction does not place him beyond the ethical tradition that accords respect to the dignity and intrinsic worth of every human being under both Texas and United States constitutions and customary international law. 19. The conditions which defendants knowingly and deliberately subject plaintiff and other prisoners similarly situated are grossly inadequate living space, grossly inadequate ventilation, dangerously high ambient temperature and humidity in living areas, grossly inadequate fire and safety, grossly inadequate basic personal hygiene facilities, and excessive noise and sleep deprivation inflicts plaintiff with unnecessary intense pain and suffering, that which is repugnant to the conscience of mankind pursuant to evolving contemporary standards of decency and customary international law, and places plaintiff at a high risk of premature death from constant prolonged pain, suffering, and stress. Wow, wonder why I have PTSD. 20. The unlawful conditions of plaintiff's confinement individually or in combination subjects him to cruel and unusual punishment without penological justification, violation of his guaranteed rights under both state of Texas and United States constitutions and customary international law. Man, I used to churn these out like dime store novels. So, damn, Floyd, you were doing that, what, way back in 2006? How long ago is that? That's what? Almost 20 years ago, 2 decades. What you got, Floyd? What you got? Show us. Come on, buddy. Do it. Here we go. This is where we're at. This just came out May 16th, 2025. This is by Steve Artery, Fox 26 KRIV, Houston. Texas House passes bill requiring AC in state prisons. What? Hold on. What? Huh? Okay. The brief. House Bill 3006 would require air conditioning in all Texas prisons by 2032. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice would be required to complete the project in 3 phases. Inmate advocacy groups have argued the lack of air conditioning in prisons constitutes cruel and unusual punishment in violation of the 8th Amendment. Austin, Texas. The Texas House on Friday passed a bill that would require state prisons to have air conditioning. The bill would require the Texas Department of Criminal Justice to install air conditioning at each of its facilities by the end of 2032. The bill passed on 3rd reading Friday on a 79 to 39 vote. I wonder who the 39 idiots are. Let me go put them on the four row, top bunk, 24 cell, 36 cell. See how you like it up there for a day or two. It now heads to the Senate. House Bill 3006 would allow the TDCJ to install climate control units in 3 phases, each covering around 1/3 of the facilities they control. Each phase is expected to cost around $100 million, with the first required to be completed by December 31st, 2028. The second phase would be completed by 2030, with the remaining facilities being complete by December 31st, 2032. The bill would also prohibit the use of state funds for the project without the legislature specifically appropriating funds for the project. Temperatures inside facilities would be required to remain between 65 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. These areas requiring temperature control are hospitals, visiting areas, housing or dormitory areas, trustee areas, areas used for medical treatment or care, including areas used for dispensing medication to inmates. That would be like the pill window. Kitchens and dining areas, that would be the food service department. Food preparation areas, same thing. Community areas, including day rooms. Laundry areas, that would be the laundry services department. Areas used for workstations. Indoor recreation areas, including gymnasiums, restroom and shower areas, and other areas related to inmate hygiene. You have to understand, some of these prison units, they really don't have indoor showers. They're actually outdoor showers. Y'all don't even know. Administrative areas, correctional officer stations, including guard post areas, commissary areas. That's where you get your little snacks and shit, your overpriced garbage. Areas used for programmatic and educational and vocational purposes, chapels or churches, libraries, and maintenance areas. heat in prisons. Experts suggest that the lack of air conditioning in correctional facilities poses significant health and safety risks for inmates and staff because the state's extreme heat conditions. In March, a federal judge ruled that keeping Texas inmates in prison that lack air conditioning during excessive heat was unconstitutional, but would not require TDCJ to install temporary air conditioning while the pending court case played out. Forcing the prison to install temporary air conditioning units would just slow down the work of the prison system to implement a permanent solution and wouldn't provide relief any earlier, the court said. Judge Robert Pittman left the door open for the court to change its ruling on the temporary units if the TDCJ loses the case and continues to move slowly through the installation process. Well, bet your ass on that one, Judge Robert Pittman, because all you have to do is go look at the late Judge William Wayne Justice from the Western District of Texas, who oversaw the Ruiz versus Estelle case. So, Judge Robert Pittman, kudos for you. You actually deserve to be put on a pedestal for doing the right fucking thing. Obviously, you're not corrupted. The court repeats that TDCJ's current plan to install permanent air conditioning, which on the most generous timeline would not be complete for another 25 years, is insufficient under the 8th Amendment, Pittman said in his March 26th ruling. Okay? And I'll get into some more of this. The ruling came as a group of inmate advocacy groups filed a lawsuit calling the lack of air conditioning unconstitutional, cruel, and unusual punishment. The court document estimates 95,000 inmates are housed without air conditioning in the state. The Texas Department of Criminal Justice has around 46,000 beds that are considered cool beds. Those beds are in proximity to partial or full air conditioning. Bullshit. Did I say that out loud? Only 32 of the agency's 101 units have fully air conditioning housing areas. TDCJ classifies 55 units as partially air conditioning and housing areas, but those units have fewer than 10 cool beds. Did you hear me? 10 cool beds out of 55 units. And these units go anywhere from, I'd say 1,000 on average, up to 5,000. Bunks. Heat-related deaths in prison. A November 2022 study by researchers at Brown, Boston, Harvard universities found that 13%, or 271 of the deaths in Texas prison without universal air conditioning between 2001 and 2019 may be attributed to extreme heat. So the judge who fucked us over on our lawsuits, guess what, bro? Those are 271 deaths that are on your head, and I'm fixing to point you out. Prisoner advocates say those numbers are only likely to increase as the state faces more extreme weather and heat due to climate change. Experts testified last summer that the heat index values at or above 88 degrees Fahrenheit can lead to conditions like heat exhaustion, dehydration, and heat stroke, even in young, healthy inmates. Even beyond heat-related injuries, heat can also lead to heart attacks, kidney failure, and increased risk of suicide, court documents state. During an earlier hearing, climate experts testified that summers were getting hotter in Texas and expected to continue climbing. The source, information on House Bill 3006, comes from the Texas Legislature and the House Research Organization. Information on heat in prisons and a pending lawsuit comes from the court documents filed March 26, Western District of Texas. There you go. So we're going to go over here. We're going to go look at this serial killer, because that's basically what he is. He's a serial killer. Is it Ellison on this one? Yep. Ellison, pretty sure. Oh, no. That's the telephones. Yeah, here we go. I'm going to get you over here. I'll get right with you, Raymond. I'm telling you guys, the divinity just falls in my lap every day. Kenneth Hoyt, there you go. In Worland, this is who had this judge had Alan Wade Johnson's case. See, case in other court. That's the one I tried to join. Filed a motion to adjoin, was denied. Told to file my own lawsuit, so I did. It was assigned to Magistrate Judge Kenneth M. Hoyt, who has at least 271 murders to his credit. So there you go. The case was filed almost 2 decades ago. And what happened to it? Here you go. Case terminated, signed by Kenneth Hoyt. Final judgment, signed by Kenneth Hoyt. I appealed it to the Fifth Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals. Yeah. I took it as far as you could take it. And they basically slam dunked me. So let's go look over here at this final judgment. For reasons set out in the court's memorandum and order of even date, this case is dismissed with prejudice as frivolous and malicious. There's your serial killer, folks. These people prey upon killing people. I don't know if they worship death. I don't know if they're satanic. But I've just showed you 100% fact, proof, evidence of fraud, corruption, criminal activity. That guy's a serial killer. He needs to be fucking behind bars. He needs to go to the same place where I met David Owen Brooks, another one of the state's most prolific serial killers. We lived in the same dorm, worked together. We're in the craft shop together. Yeah, go look up David Owen Brooks. 27 confirmed kills, and there's still some unknowns in that pile of bones they were digging through. So, when I tell you folks, okay, I've been through the ringer with these morons on every freaking level that you can possibly deal with these people. I've risked my life, my freedom on the win unit because I was so prolific, so active in the courts, okay? They tried to get a federal sentence stacked on top of my state sentence. When I was doing all the redemption process stuff, that's when they called the Secret Service, the IRS, the FBI, and the U.S. Postal Inspector come inspect my stuff. For 30 days, they bounced me around in pre-hearing detention until I had my hearing 2 weeks later. And then I got a meeting with the assistant warden. He said, Tarvin, I don't know what y'all are doing, but you're not going to do it on my unit. And I was like, cool. Can I go pack my shit and get the fuck off this unit? I've done my time here. I'm ready to go the fuck someplace else. And the only reason I was stayed there, because I was ready to transfer off, I was always hopeful. I'm like, man, I'm only 90 miles from Houston. So, my friend's family come see me. I'm like 2 hours from my daughter. And of course, my daughter's mom refused to bring my daughter to see me for 14 years. So everything was taken away from me. And then I had to deal with bullshit like this while I was in prison. When you expect the courts to do the right thing, the humane thing, and they don't. And they do this over and over and over and over with everything that you got. They did it with telephones. They did it with the climate control. They did it with housing because in the state, in Texas, okay, in the city of Burleson, okay, up by Fort Worth, it's illegal to house a dog in a pen less than 2 pounds or 2 square feet per pound of the dog. Huh? And you put 2 adult males in a 9x5 cell? Yeah, it's illegal in Austin to tether a dog outside, leave it unassisted. But you're going to put 2 potentially vicious people in a cell together? and expect them to get along. This is what they do. This is the whole ass shit they do. This is the whole ass shit I experienced over and over and over and over. These fucking judges in Travis County, same fucking thing. These justices in the Court of Appeals for the state of Texas, same thing. Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Texas Supreme Court. Well, you know, when I was litigating for all this shit, well, guess who the Attorney General was? To quote the dumbest politician in the world, Jasmine Crockett, Mr. Hot Wheels. And watch that punk ass watch him sign that bill into law. Okay. Now, that judge is getting ready to oversee TDCJ for the next 20 years because the Wayne unit was built in 1883. It's a combination of two buildings. We have the new building and the old building, and this is what TDCJ loves to do. They love to take these red brick buildings that were built in the 1800s, okay? Like 1845 was the first territorial prison in Huntsville, Texas. The Walls, which is now called the Huntsville unit, okay? Then they built all these other units in the 1880s. They went on this little boom, construction boom. Why did they have to go on a construction boom? They needed somebody to run the fucking plantations. They needed slaves. So they just started buying up plantations. Mm-hmm. And they called them state farms. Yeah. And they brought all the slaves back. Those unruly ones. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. And they weren't built for air conditioning. Even though when they did the second build in the 1930s, there was commercial air conditioning available and they didn't install it. Then they went through another prison building boom in the 60s, then again in the 80s and 90s. And then they started buying retired Air Force bases and military bases and using those as prisons units. So I've been on every single type of facility that TDCJ has. I've been in new buildings, old buildings, the oldest of the old buildings, the Walls, the newest of the new, LeBlanc, Beaumont, that's one. And it's going to take forever. Ever. They got to install new windows. Because the window system they have, so they got to pull all the windows, replace all the windows. They already have ducting in most of the units. So they got to all do that. They're probably going to put in swamp coolers, not real air conditioning. But you know, let me show you. Okay, I filed that lawsuit. Not only did I file it for the offenders, but also obviously for the state employees, like I labeled, right? So I'm actually getting down for those fuckers. And you know what they're doing? They're retaliating against me. Yeah. I'm getting down for them too. That's the bullshit I went through. Okay. That's why I don't take no shit off nobody. That's why I'm fully 100% open and transparent about everything that I've ever done. I take full responsibility for everything I've done. And I've done some shitty stuff. And I've done some really honorable things. So when I tell you folks, and I give you a little legal guidance and not advice, you should probably listen to it very carefully, because I'm telling you from my vast experience dealing with every fucking court between Houston, Harris County, Texas to Washington, D-fucking-C. Yep. I told you folks at one time, okay? This is like, okay, today I've got Harris County Criminal Court Law number 8, 351st Judicial District Court, Harris County, Texas. First Court of Appeals, 14th Court of Appeals, Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, Texas Supreme Court, U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Texas, Houston Division, 5th Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals, United States Supreme Court. I had litigation, different litigation in all those courts at the same time. And not only that, I had other shit going on and I was doing stuff for other people. I was running a fucking law firm in a jail cell with a man above me by myself. I told you, to emulate what I did out here like I did in there, it's virtually impossible. I was so focused, just lasered in. For 12 years, all I did, live, breathe, sleep, shit, piss, eat, spit, vomit, law. I was fighting my case, but I was like, man, why can't we have better conditions? Why has it got to be this way? You know, it's not only me suffering, you're suffering. You work here. You're getting paid to work here. You can't go get a better job where they have AC? That's why they gave me the name Fearless Floyd. Michael Wayman Wilson gave me that. You can go look him up. He's still in TDCJ. I profiled him on my show. He'd reach over to the bunk. Floyd, they're going to make you disappear, man. You know you don't get no visits. Family, you know, they make you disappear like that. They'll handcuff you and kick you off the third floor stairs. Say you fell. Yeah. That's why I had to do a caveat in every litigation that I filed. Hey, I expect retaliation. So if something happens to me, you were forewarned. He's like, man, you're fearless, dude. Okay. I'm just don't even really care. All I care about is winning. It's all I want to do is win. I didn't care what it take. I didn't even care the case anymore, okay? Because they weren't letting me win. Because I would have changed big things, major things. That's why they went and changed the health and safety code. The health and safety code. Yeah, they changed that law behind me. Why? Because it would have opened the door for 70,000 plus addicts to be able to get bench warranted back to their county for chemical dependency treatment. Because when you're in TDCJ, guess what? You do not get chemical dependency treatment no matter fucking what. Doesn't matter how long your sentence is, doesn't matter how long you're there, until you're granted parole, and then you're put in a program by the Texas Board of Criminal Justice. How the fuck does that work? Go do your time, go do this penance. We're not going to rehabilitate you till, whenever. We'll get to you. Yeah, so what? It took 14 years to get you treatment. Who gives a fuck? That's how the system works, folks. Yeah, I sued the board for that too. Just go look me up. Look up all my litigation. And you will see just case after fucking case after case after case after case after case after case after case with my name on it. Then you actually see all the shit that I did for other people. That's why I didn't leave the WIN unit, because I was doing shit for other people and I didn't trust, like, go here, will you do this for this guy? That wasn't me. That just wasn't who I was. That wasn't who I became in there, who I evolved to be, who I carried that sterling reputation with me outside from prison to the free world to make me who I am today, where I walked out and I was like, you know what, dude, you cannot go be that person that you were before you got locked up with the 60-year sentence. Otherwise, you're going to be back there doing it on the layaway plan like Bonnie Straight. Fuck that. I want off, period. That's been my main goal from day fucking one. That's why I did the redemption process. Make this shit go away. I got it. I got my case. Remanded back to the trial court for an evidentiary hearing. And the court, this is the Court of Criminal Appeals, ordered my judge to hold the hearing within 120 days. You know what my judge did? Fucking nothing. Judge Mark Kent Ellis. Yeah, who's the president of the corporation of Harris, room 351, County of Harris, that corporation that monetized the case. Yeah, we can go into all that. Yeah, I'm a little jaded, but I just wanted to show you guys, okay, the fraud and the corruption for fucking real. Okay, you're not hearing a rumor. You saw it. You saw the article. You can go look up what the Texas House is doing. And I showed you in black and white on pacer.gov. God damn, were you ahead of your time again, Floyd? I don't know. Maybe y'all should probably listen to me a little